could chat by myself. I don't know. You know, I need somebody to help me out. Maybe I need a new phone, maybe a better phone. It's Christmas time. So maybe I got to go out there and do that. Maybe I don't. I've never had that many problems or that many issues, which really can be kind of frustrating for me. Okay. I don't see one person at all on my live stream. Can someone say something on here for me? Quest. No results found. So, Mr. Velazquez, if you're on there, see if you could click yourself on. With my luck, I probably don't have. See, it says no results found. No, allow the audience to ask about you. Yeah, definitely. Let everyone ask. You don't have any viewers yet. Share your broadcast with your audience. No, maybe this is better. That might work. So, David, I just invited you. Hopefully you're able to get on. Hey, look at that. Now I can see humans in bodies. If there's anyone out there, leave me a little message. Have you guys been able to watch the show since the beginning? Or was there something I had to do here? I'm waiting on David Velazquez. And he's got a great taste in shirts, if you haven't noticed. If you look right there, boom. He's got what some of you don't got is the Chihuahua shirt. So has everyone pretty much able to follow the stream since the beginning? Were you able to see the bats? Were you able to see? Can someone just let me know if you're able to see that, just to get myself? And once again, I'll be talking with Senior Softball Bat Review David Velazquez, which I tried to ask him on. David, I'm going to try to hook you Beaner on right now. So, David, help me out. If you're out there fishing around, and he's been, David, you got to understand, I tried texting you, and I know you're a busy guy, and you got all this cool stuff going on. God bless America. What is going on? I think I already asked you. Request. Audience. Oh, I got the audience request. What's up, Horse? How's it going? Well, like I said, I'm waiting for David Velazquez. What's up, Stan? How you doing? We got to get in contact really soon, buddy. I know I reached out to you. I've been crazy busy doing a bunch of stuff. Hey, there's Mr. Velazquez. So, Dave, if you can go ahead and go down and see if you can click on. I'm on the auto zone. You can't have a mic. I mean, you should know all this stuff, but I just repeat it. But I'm hoping to get David Velazquez on. I just saw that he's actually watching now. So what you got to do, obviously, is go down below and click where it looks like you have the two palms. And then from there, you just ask to come on. What's up, Mikey? All right. Monumental here. Hey, Dave. Well, we'll get Mr. Scobie on here. We'll get all the parties going here. So Ken Scobie from our San played with Suncoast Adidas softball team in the past couple years. He's been supporting our bats, and he's got some cool stuff hitting off the tee out in his home area. I sent. Oh boy. Okay. We'll see right now. Hold on a second. I'll do some other funky stuff. Sorry, Ken. All right. Boom. Let's see if this adds. So I'm hoping to get David Velazquez on right now. And hopefully this works. Or else I'm going to shoot myself. Well, not shoot myself, but, it shouldn't be so hard. Hey, look at that. What's up, brother? Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing
good. Jesus, the great people above are there working with us. Well, Dave, and all good humor and stuff right now, I gotta kind of follow your suit. I'm a little slow here on the computer. You may know what I'm gonna do. You may not know what I'm gonna do. And right now, it is just getting on there. But while I'm waiting for this, how you doing out there? And what part of Texas?
South Texas, Antonio,
Awesome.
Texas, which is south of Austin, actually. Big cold front's supposed to come in tomorrow, so we kind of shut it down for the rest of the year. We could have hit today, but I'm actually done with everything, all the reviews that I have to do until next year, starting up again, maybe into January, February. You know, like you guys, we don't have, you know, a lot of winter here. You know, very seldom do we have a big winter, and our temperatures in our 70s and 80s. If it gets 40 degrees, 35 degrees here, they shut the town down, you know, so yeah.
Hey, I've been just doing great,
doing?
being busy, too busy, obviously, because I try to go on twice a week, and I've just been so caught up. I got a new position, so sometimes that keeps me late hours, and, you know, after those long days, you don't want to do anything, but, you know, I'm happy to be working. I'm happy to be continuing to do the things that we love to do, that we're passionate about, so, you know, life's good. Well,
exactly. You were asking me earlier about, because of the time difference, you were asking me, am I one of those guys that goes to bed early? But I'm not. I mean, I'm cutting up video every day. You know, people, you know, I think people don't understand what we have to do to actually go through all this video. 2 hours of video takes me 5 or 6 hours of computer work just to cut it up, and you got to make sure it's good, and you're actually telling a story, and you know this too. And a lot of other guys that do reviews out there, is you're actually telling a story, what you think about this bat, and you've got to listen to everything, what people say about the bat. It tells a little bit of a story there. So I probably go to bed every night around 12 o'clock after I do all my downloading, because it takes a while for get the computer. I got to put it on my desktop, and that takes a couple of hours. So I actually do that at night. In the mornings, I'll feed it right into YouTube, and that usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour to get it up there. And then I've got to schedule it during the week on when the videos are going to go out too. But yeah, I mean, and then I get up in the morning. You know, when we go hit balls, I usually get up around 6 o'clock. I get out to the field around 7:30, get everything ready, and then the guys start showing up and funneling in, and then we start hitting. You know, you got to do the PR work when it comes to Facebook and stuff like that, and you got to get the camera
behind
the right
scenes. You're right about that.
Yes. I mean, it's just a pain in the ass.
Right.
I mean, but we don't. The reason we do it because we love it so much too. So that's another thing.
Yeah. Well, that's where the humor is, right? I'm having fun with you, man. And I wanted to say before I come on with David Velazquez, right there. So we're just warning you right now, because we never know, and that's okay, Dave, man. Be you, man.
See, it wouldn't be me if I kind of threw something in there or snuck it by you. Probably JBI's over there on the corner with that little red button, trying to push it every time I might say something wrong. I'll try to keep it down, and I know you run a respectable show there. I started watching you. Wow. Whenever you first started coming along and just listening to what you had to say, what I like about your show is you go in pretty deep about everything. You go into what you've done and what people have to do to actually get to the major and major plus level, and what they have to be dedicated, and they got to put in the work. It's just no free ride to get in there. And I know that there's that buddy system that goes along with senior softball. Even softball back in the day, there was always that buddy system, but they were few and far between. A lot of guys didn't get that treatment. You really had to hit to compete at that top level. There was only a handful of guys that we thought, you know, in Texas that got that buddy system, but they still can hit 600-700, you know, 650s, 550, 650, and to get on the team to that little buddy system. But you go into depth when you're talking about that. And when you get to the major plus level, what I like about whenever I played there for 10 plus years, I like the way it was ran as a business. You know, I like that. You know, if you don't hit, you get cut, you know, and it's no friend stuff going on. And that's one people, you know, you keep on reminding people about that it's all business up there on the top teams. You know, they still have the major and major plus teams that actually don't think that way, but I actually admire the teams that run it as a business. They're paying, you know, the guys that pay, you know, the sponsors that pay, they're paying you good money. You have to produce to be on that team. Back in my day, they didn't have conference, you know, so I cannot give too much information on how that was ran. You know, I retired, I guess, in year 2000 and didn't start up again until 2009. Whenever I had a company and my wife started getting promoted with the Spurs, and she asked me, and I've been doing this for a long time and actually going out, you know, in my 20s and swinging with Bill Blake, and Billy would get all these bats sent to him, and I would actually get out there and start listening to him, not asking him too much, but listening to him and his thought process on how bats should be loaded and how bats should swing and all these little different things about how to build bats, because Billy did build in the 80s. He did build a lot of bats, not only for Steels, but he did it for Easton. And he was talking to Louisville Slugger back in the day too about how they would come down to San Antonio. And I was there when they were doing it, and they'd come down to San Antonio and they'd talk, you know, Easton would come down and talk to him about, you know, bat speed and all these little things that Billy, you know, I call him Sheldon every once in a while because he's like Sheldon in the brain. He's got that obsessive compulsive where he's constantly thinking about, you know, weights and transfers and all this other stuff. But I learned a lot of my stuff through him through the years. And I played ball mainly. I played with Bubba. Bubba played with you. And at the beginning of last year, and I think this year too, I played with him for 17 years, Bubba. What I learned about you was I kept on asking how is Leroy, you know, his mind, how, you know, because I hear you on talking on these podcasts, and I said, how? He goes, Bubba loves you, okay? The reason is you think like we do. You know, you think in the mind part of playing ball. You know what it takes to get there. You know the work that you have to put in to get there. It's no free ride. And what I like about listening to you is you're not a 6'5" guy. You know, you're not a muscle up guy. But you're not that big guy that was actually didn't have to work hard at it. You know what I mean? I have a lot of respect for the smaller guys. I really do. If a guy's talking to me and he's 6'5", 6'4", yeah, he's 6'5", 6'4". Yeah, you know.
I'm sending you these, man. I'm getting some.
Too much. It goes in one ear and out the other. Because
got him coming, big shooter.
You say that, but I don't see nothing. I got your other one in the other room. I thought that'd be too much if I actually came on your show. Like that, but yeah, I mean, Bubba talks really highly about you. And when Bubba talks, me and Bubba are really good friends. And when he says something, it's like the gospel to me, where I hear what you talking, and I said, this guy gets it. You know, this guy gets what we would talk about when, you know, not really on any, because I'm not into that. I'm not into talking about how to get there. I'm basically, what I'm doing is reviewing bats, and that's it, and giving my honest opinion. And I'm that guy that I just didn't get that honest opinion at, you know, 2009 when I first started doing this. I've always been that guy where if you came up to me and asked me a question about what I thought about something, I would tell him the truth. You know, Charlie Mueller, who plays with me, kind of like, man, you're kind of hard to get every once in a while, because a lot of people would come up to me and I'd be sitting, and a coach or something, because I played with Charlie this last year, would ask me a question, I'd give my honest opinion. He may not have liked it. And I said, well, Charlie, I said, I don't want to, you know, lie to him or anything. And I think what happened when I got this started and I got it going on, I was coming back to play senior ball in 2009. And there was a bunch of other seniors on the other field, and this guy would come around and sell bats out of his truck. So after we got through hitting, and I walked over there and I was kind of talking to him. These are guys that are on a fixed income, and you know, they got, you know, they don't have a lot of money. So this guy, I'm looking at this bat, and this guy told me, see, I bought this one for, you know, $199, $195 back in the day. And he goes, it doesn't perform. And I said, well, let me swing it. So I got out there and swung it. I said, well, it's broken. And I started telling him about the bat. I said, but it's a piece of shit. And he's like, what? And he goes, the guy told me it's the best bat ever put out there. And I think that's what drove me, because all these older guys are out there and they're on a fixed income, you know, and they're actually trying to, you know, better themselves with a bat. And I said, you know something, I had the cameras because I've already been on YouTube, and I had a hunting channel on YouTube, and it's been on there for a while. And I said, you know something, I'm going to start doing senior softball bat reviews. And that kind of stuck in my head, where I got on YouTube and I started it, and it started off really slow. As you know, it grew every year. It kind of looked a flat spot a couple of years, and then it started growing and growing and growing, and through the years. And then it turns into this, where, you know, I tell my wife a lot, where this is every year it's gotten bigger and bigger. And, you know, on my videos, I may curse, and a lot of guys text me and hey, you know, can you kind of keep it down? You know, I even had, I don't know if you heard about that, was in Vegas last year. In Vegas, I had somebody come up to me and said, hey, if you're going to represent our product, could you not curse? And I actually told him, no, you know, I can't do that. That's just me. Just because I'm repping your product, or I'm swinging your stuff, and I'm doing a review on your stuff, that's my personal opinion about it, and I'm not going to keep it down. So, and I think I think that's what we're missing a lot with these bat review out there, is a lot of bat reviews that you get, you know, it's always that, you know, this is the best bat I ever swung. You know, I used to ask this guy back in the day, which was a pro player. I call it a pro player. He's a major player, played against Steels, My Sox, and all that. And I walked up to him and said, what's the best bat right now? And he goes, the one that's in my bag. So it doesn't matter if he plays with Louisville next year, it's the one that's in his bag. So I kind of wanted to go against the grain a little bit and give people, and it didn't take off like I thought it would, but after a while, people started going, okay, and here's the deal too, Leroy, you know this. If you give an opinion on something, and basically what it is, in my opinion, it's kind of like you're not going to know down the road if I was right or wrong, right? Because you got to swing the bat, you got to get used to the bat, you got to get used to swinging. I get a text from somebody go, hey, you were right, that bat opened up at 500 swings, and you know, you were right, because this bat is pretty hot. Well, it takes a while, because I can say whatever I want to tomorrow, your review is going to come out tomorrow or the next day, and a lot of people won't know until down the line. They just automatically won't know. I don't want them to just believe what I can go out there and start buying all this stuff. I want them to take it, you know, and get out and swing it.
Right.
And then if you like it, hey, I was right. You know, if you don't, then, you know, you can go to someone else or do something else. It really, I'm not out here to, you know, like a lot of there to try to make friends. I mean, I think I don't purposely try to do that, especially with like Mike Masinko. To give you, I can't sit there and be buddy with Mike Masinko when I've got to do a review on his bat in a month, you know, or every year. You know, I got to kind of.
You got a responsibility, man.
Say hi to him. Mike's a great guy. Say hi to him. You know, he's got a lot of stories. Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, and if somebody, and I don't want to get in that position where, you know, I'm friends with this guy and all of a sudden, boom. I'll give you a prime example, Bill Blake. I didn't do a review on his bat, you know, because I didn't want people to say, and I really do like his bat, but I wanted people, you know, to say, I didn't want people to say like, oh, he's just buddies with Billy, he's going to put his bat up there, you know, and just play favorites. Well, for one, I don't play favorites, you know.
About what?
Let's talk about Saban.
Oh, I want to talk about that, but hold on. I kind of want to capitalize on that, because as long as I've been around bats and stuff, and why I kind of doing it, because it was a kind of same thing.
Go ahead.
I remember, you may remember this, I remember the early days, anytime a new bat came out, oh, it's like the Ultra. Every bat swung like the Ultra because it was a hot bat, or it swings like the Freak, or it swings like this, and I'd be, oh man, you're nuts, you're just saying that to push bats. And I used to say that all the time. And it used to drive me freaking crazy. But shave bats, yeah, no, that's a crazy thing, the shave bats. I mean, I remember when it came in the middle 2000s, but something I liked about senior softball, I thought people weren't going to shave bats because the bats were already hot. But apparently that's not the case, because I know I've played against them. One thing I do want to share, and you said this on your on the YouTube part, you're like me. I pay close attention to detail. And I've played some teams within the last 3 or 4 years, prominent teams, and I'm not going to name them, that when it came to the 5th, 6th, 7th inning, hotter bats came out, and I started telling my team, didn't you notice these balls are knuckling more, or they're just starting to drive the ball a lot better than they did the first 4 innings, and then they pull away? Have you noticed that?
See, I don't know how much I can talk about with you, but same thing. I'll bet you're that guy. Okay, you're that guy that walks into a room and you know everything that's going on in that room, right? You're very visual. You know everything. You know people's looks on their face. Like I can play on a team where I can see their face expressions on another team, or because I have pretty good memory, so I can read people very well. Okay, you're probably one of those guys that you walk in a room, you can read people very well. I can see where they're thinking about what they're going to do, and you're the same way. They'll go and grab a bat, you know, in the later innings. I know there is a guy out there, and I'm going to go out there and say some things, but there's a guy out there that is a well-known pro, and he was swinging his own bat about up to the 5th inning, and he hit like shit. So all of a sudden, he walks into the dugout and whips open his bag and picks out a bat. And he's coming up with bases loaded and hits a grand slam about 500 feet, you know, and it comes back, slides it back in there and zips it up, you know. So we've gotten to, and here's the deal. When I put that video out, and I keep reminding people every month when I do my update videos, and I put that video out, and I got a big response. A lot of guys were texting me, hey, thanks for doing this. And then I had a handful of guys that actually said they've been doing this for years. You know, if you're not cheating, you're not trying to win, you know. And then a couple other guys were saying, hey, you know, why are you even bringing this up? Everybody does it. Why are you bringing this up? Well, what are we supposed to do? Not say anything?
Everybody does it?
Not say nothing until...
I know what you mean.
Well, no. That's what this guy was saying. He was telling me about that, and you know, and I know people who shave their bats. I do.
Well, let me add something on that.
Shave their shit. And
let me add something.
I've been
I don't know if you know Timbaland. Timbaland was very outspoken. He called many people out. He was one of the most hated guys in softballs in the mid-2000s when the shave bat thing just went crazy. But I was the kind of guy, when I used to play, I used to call that shit out a lot.
Yeah.
Because I played true, I played hard, I worked on my game. And I was competing just as much as these other guys. And I used to tell people, at that time, my generation of B players, guys going to the next level of A, I said, what kept me out of there, I feel, is that I didn't swing a shaved bat. And then I was ostracized because people knew how I felt about them. People respected me, but they knew I was outspoken. So it was always that, like you said, the look, the quiet. Can we say that? And I think it even hurt me on some teams, being they didn't want me on there because of how vocal I was about them.
You kind of get pushed to the side whenever you're vocal about things like that, and nobody wants to play with you, especially if you keep saying it and keep talking about it. Same as you, when I was playing back in the day, well, I would hit a home run or something because I was sponsored by Easton, it was a single wall bat. And I would hit a home run, I'd come back in the dugout, and the guy that I knew was cheating, I'd lean over to him, I'd say, I did that with a stock bat, you know? And I would pop off quietly to the guys to let them know, hey, I know what you're doing. You know, and have you ever seen this? The guy that's, you know, the guy that's 150 pounds, and then I'm hitting, you know, he's 150 pounds, and I'm 250 at the time, and I work out religiously twice a week, and he's hitting them further than me, you know, and he's 150 pounds, and I'm like, and people, they must think people are stupid, because there's a lot of people out there that see this shit, you know, and they're like, come on now, man. I mean, there is that big gap where, you know, where you have a 150-pound guy hitting a 450-foot home run, and people just look and go, you know, I've been to tournaments out of town where I've had playing Major Plus, where I've had guys come up to me that I knew that played on the other team and said, hey, come here, I need to ask you a question. I know you're not gonna lie to me. Is this guy swinging a shaved bat? And I'll look at him and go, yeah, he is. All right, that's all I want to know, you know, and I'll turn around and I'll walk off. But but it's getting worse lately. Like I talked about the guy making a lot of money, you know, and I want to say something too, because I got text on this. Is I did not say 80% of seniors are swinging shaved stuff. I said that guy, whenever he made all that money, that one company, 80% of his clients were seniors. I'm not saying, I don't think it's 80%. I don't think 80% of seniors are actually out there swinging glass. But here's the deal. Okay, I'm just going to cut it off right here. I'm going to talk about something else in a minute, but here's the deal. I have a Bubba. Okay, I review bats. I probably swung more bats than the average person out there. Bubba has too. When you got a guy that is 6 foot tall, you know, 200 pounds, that hitting ball with that bat, that name bat that I did a review 2 years ago, and he's hitting them 50, 60 feet further than my Bubba, problem there. You know, I did a review on that bat. That bat sucked. You know how many people come up to me and we're watching a game and I'm watching a game and they'll come up to me and this guy blast one with a bat that I didn't even put in my top 10, and they'll walk up to me. I don't even know who the person is. They'll say, "What do you think?" And I said, "Hey, I don't know, man. I don't know.
You know,
I just know
the
that
equipment.
I did a review on that bat and it didn't do that." You know what I mean? So I'm not going to call, unless I cut the shit open. I'm not going to call you out and say, "Hey, that was, oh wow, that one went far." You know, that ball went, you know, 500 feet or 450 feet. But I have a Bubba that can't hit on 400 feet or 350 feet with that bat, you know, and I don't know. I think it's a problem. I can sit here and bitch
about it for 20 years, man.
An hour, 2 hours, but what do we do? What do we do? And I understand people have been cheating back in the day, but here's the deal. They cheated back in the day, but you get a little bit of performance. Okay, the aluminum bats, yes, they cheated. They pulled the caps on them. They loaded the end cap. Okay, they did that back in the day, but you didn't get the increase in performance as you do with a shave bat. So the increase back then was probably like this, okay? The increase now is like, wow.
Yeah.
This. And you seen that video where I was swinging a shave bat?
Oh,
that was ungodly.
Yeah. Shotgun,
you know, the sound
shotgun, cardboard box, shotgun.
But yeah, I mean, it's something that's got to be addressed by.
No, well, the thing is, in my day when shave bats came out big in the mid 2000s, early 2000s, that's when you had that ED player who wanted to play with his buddies in the B level. They would shave their thing to the gills, and taking that 1 ounce allowed them to compete at a higher level. And I did see that. But let me tell you some other fun stuff that I used to do. Is I used to call it. I love Easton. I used to call it my Easton challenge, because those old Eastons, when they broke in and opened up, they performed crazy. You just had to put the work in. But I used to play, and people used to question my bat. So I'd put it right out there. And I said, go ahead and swing it. And I would have guys take one swing and they didn't feel it right, or they got out. They wouldn't even touch my bat. And I used to always call people out. Go ahead and swing my bat. Do my bats. I don't care, because I feel I put enough work that when you're scoring up on a good bat on a regular basis, you're going to get a different performance. People shave their bats so their bat's more forgiving, and the sweet spot goes from here to right there, you know, and that's why they didn't like my stuff. But
yes. Let me ask you this, Leroy. Let me ask you this, and I think the system, actually, you got to blame the system a little bit too. For one, they don't check. Another thing too, it's incentive. I mean, when you have all these big teams playing major and major plus, and like we talked about, teams that run it like a business. So you have these teams that are going to run it like a business, and if you don't hit, you don't get out there. And a lot of these teams give per diems. A lot of these teams pay for everything. A lot of these teams pay for girlfriends and wives, and it gives you a little bit of spending money for that weekend too. A lot of these teams do that. So if you're playing on a team, there's 2 guys on that team that shave, and they're out hitting you, and then they're winning all these awards, and they got the awards in their hand, and knowingly, you know, I mean, what's the incentive to not shave? The integrity of not doing it. But that's the thing too. So what does this guy do? He wants to get an MVP. He wants to get to all tourney. And I don't give a shit what you say. A lot of guys sit there and tell you that, hey, I just do it for the fun. But the fun is good. But once you get to that major plus, you know, not too many people are doing it for fun, man. They're doing it for rings. You know, they're doing it to travel. They like doing it. The competitive. They like competing against teams out there. So what, you know, when you have, it's almost like when the PEDs back in Major Baseball, right? I knew a guy that played Major League Baseball, and he's sitting on the bench, and there's a guy next to him, a well-known baseball player, that's shooting Winstro in his ass end of the year, and he's killing it. And he's not on in, but he's better than this guy. He is better than this. So what does he do? He gets on the gear, right? Because he has to compete with. You're on a softball team, and this guy's swinging glass, you know, and you've got to compete with them. They want to. They're sitting over there going, damn, if I just got this bad and I just did this, and they're not checking. You know, when's the last time you've seen a umpire at a senior game, you know, here in San Antonio, they don't, but actually look at end caps, you know, look at the way the end cap is, or any kind of pry marks on it, or even weigh the bat. Like, I can sit there and grab the bat, and I can sit there and pop it like that. I can tell you there's no weight in the end of that bat. So, I mean, something's got to be done. Something's got to be done. I don't know. You know, there's so many things. If you're spending the money on a bat, that ain't going to do nothing. You're losing money. Unless somebody's losing money where they don't start going to these tournaments that don't do any checking. Yeah. You know, Jason Torres, you know, he started doing all that checking out of Texas. So that would be a tournament where I would say, hey, you know, if I'm on a team, say, hey, I'd rather play it out. Because at least he checks. At least he runs them through. At least compression testing. And then he does the weighing thing too. Unless somebody does that, unless it's going to be something that it's going to get really, and I've been preaching this for a long time, that it's going to get really out of control in the future. And I just hope nobody hurt, basically. That's the biggest thing. I've
seen that. So I'm going to have two questions for you, let you ram on them. Kind of, you know, piggybacking on you. So you swing so many different bats and stuff, because I've had this argument with people. How often have you seen a cap fly off a bat that was stock? That's one question. How often have you seen a bat fly off, the cap fly off a bat, off a stock bat? And my second one, and I used to tell this to teams that were sponsored by bat companies. I go, if you guys are swinging straight, pure, unaltered bats, why don't you let the other team swing them? Isn't that good advertisement for you? Because if your product is that good, you should be able to let the other team swing it because it's good for you. Plus, if they break your bats, you're a sponsored team. But none of those teams would ever answer that bell. So maybe one's a comment, one's a question. But how have you seen a cap fly off?
Well, okay. I'll answer the question. We swung a lot of bats in the last, I'm going to say 12 years. We've going on 13 now. We swung a lot of bats. The only bat manufacturer, and you guys are going to agree with me on this one, was that actually had bats that the caps would fall off. That was the Dudley OGs back in the day. You remember where they were whenever they made their bat? Oh, yeah. Remember this?
Yeah.
What they would do is, remember the original, the OG? What they would do is they put that inside on the middle of it, they would put that goop, right? So we would swing a few of these, and not on all of them. I'm probably saying 5% of the Dudleys that we swung, that cap would just fly out. They had a real big problem with the balance, the black balance bat, that the end cap would fly off. So what they did was that goop that they put in the middle, if you set that bat in the sun, that a lot of that stuff would dry up and it would ruin that cap, and that cap would fly out. What they found out that the inside, when they pop these caps in, that inside groove would crack, and then the whole groove would come out with the cap, is what they found out. So it was a manufactured problem when that first batch came out. They quit putting that goop back in like second and third batch, where now a lot of these bats that are out there right now, which is few and far between on these bats, is they didn't have the goop in it anymore. They found out that when that stuff dried, it actually shrunk a lot of that rosin, I'm saying rosin, but that glue that had that end cap put in there. Recently, not a lot, but the Denny Crime, that new Denny Crime, the black one that came out, we had an flew out of that, but that was a glue problem from the inside. That's all it was. A lot of those end caps will actually fly out. But Dudley's the only one that actually had that problem, and they fixed it. So I don't think it's going to happen now. Like, okay, if you picked up this bat's old, you know, actually this bat is not old, but the Dudley bats are old. So this bat's been in your garage, this bat's been in your car, you know, and you get the hot and then you get the cold. It kind of does stuff to the rosin, that's the glue that's on the inside. And a lot of these will pop the cap off them right now. So if I see one of these, I'm at a tournament, I see one of these and a cap flies out, it don't mean anything to me. But when you get a cap out of a Mikan, or you get a cap flying out of a Suncoast, you know, then it's
honestly, I've seen it more with Mikans and Suncoast than I have with Dudley. But here's another thing I'll tell you. I was telling people, like, I was a big time first OG bat swinger. When Dudley first came out, that's what we were lucky to have with our team after winning a world. And I stuck with that one. But not too many people were really crazy about it until I started finding out shaving. The Dudleys are so durable that I know they were I would like to think a favorite bat. I think more bats that I've seen shaved in senior softball in NorCal have been Dudleys and Easton bats than any other bat, at least out here. Okay? And the guy that they knew that was shaving bats, did he by any chance share what was like the bat that he would get most commonly to shave? Oh, the bat.
I actually, in my video, I said I wasn't going to name that, but Easton, I'll name them. I'll name them right now. And what it is because where they lay the Kevlar in the bat, like if you pop the cap, shit, you actually have a wrong cap. But if you pop the cap on this, and you have where they put the Kevlar, you know, are a different, the way they layer the carbon, you know, how they layer it inside of a bat. Easton Empire, I mean, this is the first time people are going to hear this, and I've been questioned and I've not said anything, but Easton Empire is probably one of the top shave bats out there. A lot of your Easton bats that mimic that Empire. TPS, a lot of the TPS bats, because of the thickness of the wall, that TPS. There's another one, wow, I can't really, would be the, what is that bat? It's the Adidas 12-inch. The Adidas 12-inch. It's the orange and gray one. Bats, like, you know, if you go on eBay and try to find that bat right now, it's worth a pretty good money right now because they don't make those anymore. But yeah, the Easton is probably one of the top back. Okay, now here's the deal too. Not DeMarini now, but the old DeMarini's the one. That was a well-known bat that a lot of these bat shavers would actually get, and they found out that they can thin those walls and the durability will still stay up there, and the compression when you could first go to a tournament would actually stay up there, and then they would hit them. What a lot of people don't understand is compression test. No, that's not the answer, because you can take a shave bat that's got 50 swings on it and it will pass compression. And do we even have a compression number in senior softball? Jason Torres was talking about 170 in senior softball. So do we have a compression in senior softball? I know, you know, a lot of these other bat companies or bat tournaments, USSSA has a number that they're looking for. ASA has a number that they're looking for, but senior hasn't. That's my biggest problem with this is, why is everybody knuckle dragging when nothing's done? And it's these guys are knowingly do it. And it's been a red flag for these tournament directors out there for years, and nobody's seeing anything. But I'll keep preaching it, you know, and you'll keep preaching it. All these other people out there will preach it, and maybe someday in the future they're going to come up with a solution. But I don't think we need to look at a bat manufacturer, you know, like maybe putting a chip in the in plug. Yeah. If it's been, you know, have your app on your phone, you know, and pop it have the umpire where it puts it over there and see that it's been altered.
Yeah, well,
like that. But what do you?
One of the easiest things would be is like if you have the end cap, if the bat was to come with a little slice right here. So if someone was popping a cap or having to pop it again, to make it flush and perfect would be pretty damn hard. So I'm just saying, after you cap the bat, you just get like a warm knife or something, the manufacturer, and just put little grooves, just like that. That was one I said would be good. Tim said, "What is it possible to make a cap that is screwable? That you can just screw it off, look into it, it's not shaved, and screw it back on."
The problem with that is it'll come loose unless you glue it. You know, unless say somebody shaved their bat and glued it, and so you had a tournament going, you know, trying to get you tear the cap up, trying to get that off of there. I mean, what do you do? Like if you look at your bat, they'd have to, stick channel locks on it or something to try to get it off. I mean, if they don't get it off because someone glued it, then it's going to be a problem. Then what do? You kick to the side and just go ahead and let them swing it. I mean, there's so many flaws. Something's got to be done. I really don't. I like I said this in another video. If they have if they could have a little mic, and you can check the depth, of the wall maybe, but then again, it would have to be on an app, and you'd have to go look at your app to see what that depth of that wall is, what the thickness of that wall is on your bat. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you'd have to check it. Does it go with the number you're reading up on your little depth finder, your thickness finder on your little device there? Shit, I don't know. I mean, I just know something's got to be done. At least checking in caps. I played in a lot of tournaments, played in Vegas. I've traveled, coast to coast and played. And 12 years I played a major plus. I don't remember anybody coming in our dugout and looking at bats. Anybody, anywhere. SPA, ASA. Was shit. You had SPA trying to do something about the bat years ago. So what they would do is they'd actually just check it. If it's cracked, it's gone. Yeah. Well, what a lot of these bats started, you're going to get seams. So if you had a seam, it doesn't mean you altered your bat. So what they do, they kick the bat out. So here you had a bat that was well broke in, and a lot of these bats nowadays get seams. Dudley, Mikins get all these seams on it. The Adidas back in the day got a seam on it, a straight seam on it. A lot of it gets spiral seams on it. So you're going to tell me that you're going to go to a tournament and he's going to see that and say, oh, shit, you have an altered bat. No, I don't have an altered bat. And then they have all the laws about, I don't know what the hell. If you glue your end cap back in, if this end cap, okay, I said this in the video the other day, if this end cap pops out like they're well known of doing and the bat is old, if you glue it and stick it back in, it's an altered bat. You're sticking the same end cap back in your bat. So, I'm beating a dead horse here, but something's got to be done. And I don't know. The only thing we can do is be the voice. You have a platform, right? I have a platform. We can't go out there and personally do it. So we basically. Well,
here's the thing I told TD directors, and I've even said this with ranking and stuff. Everyone fears if I change rules or change the game that people are going to leave my business, etc. And I tell people, Eric Torres proved that people will not leave the sport. And I think they want to clean the sport because when he was weighing bats and checking bats, it seemed like he was getting more teams out to his tournament. So I tell directors, that guy took a chance, which I don't think it's a chance, and he proved there's enough people that love the sport that if you monitor the sport, they're still going to play. And the ones that walk away, then probably don't belong playing the game, That's my point,
Yes, I agree. And what a lot of these bat sheevers need to understand is the guys that's in the stand that are looking at you, when you hit that 500-foot home run, I mean, it's not like it was back in the day. Back in the day, it was like, wow, that guy hit that ball. Now it's common for guys to hit a 500-foot home run. So the newness is worn off. So the guy in the stands goes, okay, whatever. No, that's what a lot of guys don't understand is that glory is not there anymore because they've ruined that glory. When Mike Masenko, Bill Blake, Crusher, all those guys used to hit them long. Bruce Meade used to hit on them long home runs. People in the stands would gasp where you feel the air just suck out of the infield. And you don't see that anymore.
I agree.
Like, okay, that's no big deal nowadays because
back in the day there was true home run hitters and there were true setup guys. And then I remember playing defense against aluminum, then the double wall came in, and I was like, man, there goes the great play. And then the first actual, like the ultra and the velocities. But in NorCal, I knew a couple guys that would doctor their aluminum bats, and what they did is they put handballs inside the barrels. Whether that made a big difference or not, I don't know. But I remember seeing guys doing that. Up in double wall DeMarinis, and they put blue handballs in there.
And somebody actually talked about the handballs and tennis balls and stuff like that. That didn't do anything. The only thing that did, it did something very small. It actually added weight to the barrel. So the performance that you got was over the weight, not the compressing of the barrel. Because those actually, what they didn't understand was that would actually absorb the energy that was traveling through that barrel. So the barrel would flex and that handball would absorb that energy, but they got their performance off the end weight. So they started back in the day, if you remember, you know, those bats, 30, 33, you know, 32 ounces, they had the load to hold back. That hand weight on that bat was heavy because they weren't sticking those 6, 7 ounces balance points. When they started loading all those tennis balls, remember that? They started loading those tennis balls in the end of that bat, popping it, sliding it back in. What it did was it changed your balance point from here way to here. So you got performance off of it. But what they didn't understand was that barrel was absorbing, those balls were absorbing the energy. It wasn't giving barrel enough time to trampoline effect out, but they were getting their performance and they thought, oh my God, you need to do that because it actually has distance. Yeah, it did, but it did it because the way the weight distribution went more toward the end cap than it did. And that's where they got their performance.
All right. Well, you know, something with like that, like I said, I like to call it.
You actually told me, guys, listen to this. You actually, no. You actually text me last week and say, hey, can you get on a podcast with me? And I really don't want to talk about my bat. Because you thought that that's the reason that you were actually, that I thought that you really want to be on a podcast and talk about his bat. And you knew I liked it, right? So, and not by me talking to you, because I didn't tell you shit. I usually don't do that. I don't call Leroy and say, okay, this is what I like. And you don't hear that, but you watch the video of me swinging your bat or us swinging your bat. And so you texted me last week. I tell everybody this right now. I'm the one who brought that up. Leroy did not want to bring this up. He did not want this to be the whole topic of the conversation, but I'm going to get into it here. What I see about your bat is right when we grabbed it, you said it took 150 swings. It didn't take that long. You know, usually it's one of those guys that likes to hit a lot of BP. I agree there because it gets there pretty quick, and then you actually got a compression that's going to carry all the way up into, we cracked the first one at 850 swings with my guys, okay, which we got, Bubba swings it, we first started, that's the one we got on the last weekend in Vegas, that 27 ounce. This is it right here. This is it right here, and it's got a little shark tooth in it, but we cracked it last week when we were finishing up on your video. Your review's done. It'll be out in the next couple of days on this one right here. What I did see, and I hope I pick that up whenever I'm downloading the video, is what you did right here is you modeled swinging weight distribution the same as this one, right? I'm just going off a limb here because this bat swings like this one, okay? Flex points, same. And I think, like I said, I actually shouldn't be going too far ahead because I've actually already did the talking video in this bat right here for years. And what I talked about, the taper part stops at the same spot, right? So you have a taper that stops the same spot. What you do there is you have flex points are going to be basically at the same whenever you're swinging the bat. So you got that spot on. And then the weight distribution, okay? This is a 27 ounce. And see, I don't think you know this because, well, you know it because what you got here is this 27 ounce, you got a 9 ounce handle weight. And you know what I think about handle weight, right? These guys that go up in the handle weight, they're losing performance. So you knew that already because of the bat. Look at this, your handle weight on this bat. There you go. 27 ounce, you got a 9 handle weight. So you're spot on your handle weight, right? But what you did was, if you look at this Dudley right here, you got a 16.9, right? Which I like. I like a 17 ounce end load, but what you did on your 27, and that's a 27 too, is you went to a 17.6. So basically you added a little over an ounce to the end, which increases performance. So I'm pretty sure you purposely did that. You're not gonna probably say it, but I'm pretty sure you purposely, because I know you know your shit about bats. But what you built here is a very good bat. And I hear you talk about it. And another thing you did here too, and I just, because I talked to the guy, yes, and I talked to the guy, and I'm sure you did this, and I talked to the guy. So what you did here on your 26 and your 27, okay, one of these are the 26 and 27. What a lot of bat manufacturers do when they go up in weight, they load the hands. Well, what you did on your bat, when you went up from a 26 to 27, I'm going to say you took a third of the weight and you loaded it in the hands to make that 1 ounce, right? Because you got to go up an ounce. You took a third of the weight and you loaded it in the hands, and you took that 2/3, right? And you loaded it in the end. So your bigger guys are going to be able to swing that thing because it's got big mass on the end. What a lot of bat manufacturers do when they go up in weight, they put all that weight in the hands, it's dead in the bat. You didn't do that. So when you went up in weight, and I remember I got the 27 off the truck, and I actually bought this from your boy Joseph. So when you went up in weight, you went up in the increments I've been preaching for years about. You don't need to go up in half ounces. You need to load the barrel up a little bit more than that barrel you put on the weight, which your big boys that want to swing that heavy weight can handle that big 3/4 ounce more on that end. And then you put a little weight on the hands and make that. If you can swing that fast as you can swing the 27 to 26, if you can swing it as fast, you're gonna get great performance on it, but your bat speed get up there. Problem with me, I can swing a 27 fast on that weight. Now, why? So a lot of people don't understand that. It's all about swing weight. And I've been preaching this, right? It's all about swinging weight on what you can swing. A lot of guys go, hey, I swing a 28 ounce, you know, let me come down there and hit with you. I'll show you guys how to swing a heavy bat. No, man. It's about weight distribution. That's handle weight, swings like a sledge. You know, your 26 swings like a heavy bat. These other guys are swinging at 28, but it doesn't feel that way when you have it in your hands like right here. But once you get it started, it comes through pretty quick. So my review on your bat will be out there in the next couple of days. Very impressed. I mean,
like I said, I got educated with you and doing things and working with Joseph, sending me prototypes, getting that feel, that thing.
Well, no, you got, well, here's the deal. You swung the prototype for a while, so you got, you dialed it in, basically what you did, because that's R&D. So you did R&D work for your company that has that bat. So you actually toned it in, you dialed it in. Okay, this feels like this. You know, not that green one, but this feels like this. That's what I'm looking for, because I swung this one. I know what, and you've had that muscle memory of swinging.
Yes, definitely.
So it was easy for you to dial that one in, right? A lot of people don't understand that. I want to build a bat like a 2.0, like the 12-inch. Well, hell, if you haven't swung the 12-inch for the last 5 years, 6 years, you don't have that muscle memory. So I know you've swung this bat for such a long time because you show them on your show all the time. So
I got a couple.
Memory is like, see, and remembering how that bat swung. Yeah, exactly. You got a small gold mine right there, as a matter of fact. So now, now you have this one, okay? Which is, that review will be out next week, and I've already finished it. I'm actually cutting it up as we talk right now. That's what I was doing when I was waiting for you to get dialed in, but I was actually downloading the part that I have on the red one, and because I've already done the talking points. I just need to do the talking points on this. No spoiler alert or anything, but what you did here was, and I'm not going to spill too much because I don't want to put out your secrets out there on how you did this, but there is weight somewhere else in this barrel that you put in there to make this barrel. And I'm pretty sure you purposely did that, and I'm not going to tell them where it's at, but I think what you did was, and I can feel it. I can feel it when I'm swinging it. Okay, I know what he did here. I'm not going to say it, but I kind of know what he did here, which makes that a top performing bat too. Your two bats right here are pretty good. I mean, they're really good. I actually, you know, and here's the deal. I think our technology nowadays, we're reaching this. You know, we're reaching this performance with the technology that we have now. The only thing we're not reaching with this is the durability, but nobody wants that durability. Your bat manufacturers do not want this durability in this bat because they're not going to make any money. You know, it's all about turnover. They got to have that turnover. So I'm putting a number out there. I think it's 600. I've said I would swing a bat if it got me 300, a top performing bat if it got me 300. I would swing it, okay, in games all year long, and just buy me a couple, stick them in my bag, have them broke in, have one that's not really broken, I could swing it BP. And then if I'm getting 600 out of it, I'm happy. Right. You know, because if you think about all the tournaments you play, you know, a lot of people are talking about the BP that they put in on their bats. Have your little BP bat that you swung, preferably to the same weight as these bats are, so your muscle memory stays pretty tuned in to these bats. So that's the thing. But you've got a good product here, and I knew if anybody was going to come up with it, it'd probably be you. That you would come up with that top tier bat, because, you know, like I've heard from other people, is your mind, you go outside the box whenever you're talking about things. And I've heard your podcast, when you talk about things, I said, okay, he's getting deep with a lot of his stuff that he talks about, and a lot of guys, it actually that you talk to, I know, not a lot of guys, but a few guys, I think you confuse a lot. Because you're too deep with it. You know, that's like me talking. I'll meet people out at a tournament and I'll start talking. They'll look at me like, okay, slow down. Man. Yeah. What did you just say? And a lot of times when I get excited about something that I have passion about, I kind of go 100 miles an hour. You know, I'll get on a rant where I'm yelling or something like that. You see those little videos that I do where you can see the face change, and I can see you where you're, you know, where you change, and you start getting on a rant, and you just start going and going and going. But that's the knowledge that I think with what you're doing right now. I just wish that you would get more involved with YouTube and start putting YouTube videos on. But then again, it takes a lot of your time because you got to download the video, and you got to put it on your, and this is just so much easier when you're doing it, because it's just Facebook, right? You just put all your stuff on Facebook, go off Facebook and just do your stuff on there. But I with your knowledge and what you do, I kind of hope that in the future you would do something, you know, more toward, you know, YouTube, get your subscribers up there, and then start making a little bit of money off of it. And then because you have so much knowledge, I think a lot more than a lot other people out there. And I would listen to you. I do listen to you when I'm not. Shit, I was in the ranch the other day, and I had that little Wi-Fi going, and I'm watching your podcast while I'm, you know, watching the animals outside in the house, and then downloading videos. So I like listening to what you have to say. And I think, you know, I'm 62. I'll be 63 earliest next year. But if I can gain knowledge, I mean, I'm always looking for that. You're always looking, you know, my brain's like a sponge, so it's constantly going. And I like to be pushed. I like to be, when people talk about something, oh, okay, I need to listen to more than what he has to say. But Bubba talked about your mind for the game, you know, and he would tell me that guy knows his shit, you know, because he's played with you, and he knows that your passion when you're in the dugout, you know. You don't like guys that burn home runs, you know, it pisses you off trying to raise your batting average, and you're really vocal about it, and you're getting in the guy. I like that shit. I like it, and basically what you are as a leader on a team, any team that you play on. And I know a lot of people out there over in that area, you know, the West Coast actually know this because they either played against you or played with you. Wow. So yeah, I mean, that's heavy, man. What you're doing here is pretty good. Anything that you want to talk about? Oh man,
we can do CBD. Hold on, let me just add on that other stuff. With the burning of the home runs, because I'm a kind of hitter, I go line to line, but sometimes they're making out playing the game. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes guys don't do that. But you know, Bubba, playing with him a couple times, we really clicked. We chatted deep, and he felt it. And I just saw him gravitating to me. But I think in softball, it is that sixth sense. You got that sixth sense. I get engaged with anything you talk about, as well as other guys similar minded. And that's, you know, that separation, I think. Little stuff. You got to be open. You got to be a lifelong learner, you know.
Yes, which a lot of people need to understand is, and I think a lot of the kids that are coming up, and my advice to a lot of them is listen to your podcast and listen to you talk, is because a lot of kids don't understand. They think it's all about, you know, they think it's all about setting up, you know, and setting people up. Hell, I won in our team before I injured the eye. I was the highest batter on the team, is 8'10". I hit 19 home runs that year out of 150 at bats. So I was mainly backing up Larry Carter that year whenever he hit in front of me, and I only hit 19 home runs. So I hit the ball down a lot and hit 8'10" for the whole year. A lot of you guys don't understand out there, but batting, and you know this, and I'm going to tell you this right now, when you're hitting at that top level, playing against major plus teams, some of the top teams in the nation, a lot of top pitchers in the nation, it is hard to hit 800 and 150 at bats. That is hard as shit, you know. So a lot of guys throw out that number, and I've tried that. I've done it once in that 10 years that I played there. I got close. I'm not that guy that's going to keep hitting that. I got to have a good year. I've got to watch everything. I've got to, you know, as we get older, we have to do all that. 800 is hard to achieve, and I only burned 19 home runs. So I was one of those guys that would bitch up there and starts burning because his batting average is, you know, 80, and he wants to hit that 800, so he starts burning. You know those guys that get up there and just burn the shit out of home runs, and I get mad, you know, and it bothers me. But you talk about that. You talk to the kids about that. So this is what you got to do to listen to me, because I've been there. And what you preach is, I'm like sitting there going, shit, he gets it. This guy at that level for such a long time. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about who I play. He's been that guy where I'm a great teammate, because I'm always like, come on guys. If even we're down 15 runs, I'm constantly in there on them. And I think you're that guy too, where you want to keep the team up and keep them going. So I think we're on the same level when it talks about that.
Whatever.
Did you want to talk about
whatever you want? You know, I mean,
talk about this?
I mean, yeah, CBD. I mean, I tell people, it's almost like the knowledge of hitting.
Man, are you done asking questions now? Excuse me, this is Dave Velazquez podcast right here. You're on my channel now. You're on my CBD. This shit is good. I have an autoimmune disease where a lot of inflammation. I get a lot of inflammation. I've got a lot of joint pain. And I'm telling you, when you got me this stuff, I was experimenting with a lot of stuff. The Spurs, she doesn't anymore, but when she worked for the Spurs, she would get stuff to the Spurs players. And they would have all these booths where they'd give them out to all the professional athletes. And she'd bring some stuff home, and I'd be taking it. I'm like, it just doesn't. But once
I remember your message that you sent me.
Are you doing it anymore? Are you doing it?
Nah. I was kind of
doing it anymore?
No. Heck yeah. Tons of it. No, I just remember your first message. What is in this shit? I've been taking shit for who knows how long, and this is the first shit that's ever helped me. I remember that, man.
Oh yeah, I did say. I did first off. And here's the deal: what a lot of people don't understand is they think it's a miracle. Any little pill, you know, the weight loss pill, or this other pill, they think that it's like, oh, it's going to cure it. No, it's not going to cure it. It takes the edge off. What I like about it, it takes the edge off, especially after the COVID stuff with me. I had a lot of joint pain, anxiety because of the COVID, a lot of brain fog, and that actually made me feel a lot better when I was taking your stuff right here. So I wanted to thank you for that and getting it to me, because I was like looking for anything to actually take that edge off because of the COVID, and it actually helped me calm down. You know, heart racing. You know the COVID shit. So the heart racing at nighttime, that actually took care of a lot. That's when I told Bubba about it, and then Billy, because he's been playing ball for such a long time, to actually get in there. And I got some. Remember, I actually started buying from the case from you too, but the big old cases. So yeah, we love this stuff. I think you got a good product there. And I wouldn't talk about it, you know, thing people know about me. I wouldn't talk about it if I didn't think it worked. Your turn.
I follow you. I mean, you know what I really like, and I like the honesty. I want to share some
Don't fall
some
asleep on me,
interesting
brother.
messages that you've gotten because of doing, like you were sharing how, you know, on one of your podcasts you shared about how they don't want you cussing or anything, but since you've been doing the show or doing your podcast, what is like one of those moments that just stick in your mind, or just something that's came out of it, if you could share? Probably have your share.
Oh my God. I'm trying to think. I've had preachers who contacted me and started telling me that if I don't change my ways, that, you know, I stop with the cursing.
Oh,
you know,
yeah?
and these are all too that actually would call me and tell me, you know, hey, I like your stuff, but I'm not watching your shit anymore. You know, I didn't say shit, of course, but that's mine. So, you know, so I got to throw the S word in there every once in a while. Kind of calms me down a little bit. So they would actually contact me and tell me about, you know, hey, maybe preaching to me over the phone. And I'm a religious guy too. So I would sit there and just laugh because, hey, I'm not going to bend. That's another thing too. I mean, I don't bend the knee, you know, for nobody. I'm not out here to make what they think. What a lot of these do is, I'll go into like a little bit of a rant here. There was this company, and I'm not going to call the company out. You know, there was one company that said, hey, you know, here, I'm going to send you a bat, and it's a well-known company, and here's some t-shirts, here's some hats. You know, can you wear them when you hit? Oh shit, yeah, I can wear them when I hit. Well, I put out the video and the bat sucked. So I got a text message going, can you send my shit back? Well, what do you want? Because I put out a bad video, he thought that he can actually on another bat company, a well-known bat company. All of a sudden I get like 6 bats, and then all of a sudden I get this big box in my front, and there is, I guarantee you, there is like uniforms, tie-dye, not tie-dye, but dye uniforms. They're like, has the name on them of their company, and it's a big old box. It's got 15 for Billy, 15 for Bubba, 15 for me, and they asked for their shit back too. Here's one for you, man. You out on a bat, and I got a phone call from this bat manufacturer, and he was, man, I can go on this all day. I'm going to kind of cut it short, but I can do this all day long. I got a phone call from a bat manufacturer, and he goes, Dave, this is such and such. And I knew exactly who he was because his name's all over everything. And he goes, what can I do to make that bat better? And so I cut his bat open and I showed him the in plug. So I said, okay, this is what you need to do. So, okay, all right, we're going to work on it. You know, thanks a lot. So he didn't tell me not to say anything. Well, I didn't. All of a sudden the next year, I go, we hit it and it got better. In number 9, you know, number 8 on that top 10, it got better because it was a turd the year before. And then all of a sudden it got my top, you know, top 10, and it got like number 8 or number 9. And then all of a sudden he does this big announcement, like, I've been at R&D and I've been doing all this research, and me and this well-known name on the back guy been doing all this research, and we came up with this. I'm sitting there going, you bitch, man. There I go. I said, you got that information from talking to me. So what I did was I told Billy about it. Billy goes, did you get a paycheck? Did you get any envelope in the mail or anything? I said, no. He goes, then don't do it anymore. You know, and that's when this was a few years ago, when the way the bat manufacturers work is they talk about tweaking. They talk about R&D. And okay, they have, and you're telling me that, you know, Billy or me that's spewing this stuff out there when we're talking, and they have these guys that actually are paid in these big manufacturers out of the hands, and then put more weight on the end to make that bat that's what I try to tell them. If your barrel's not tough enough, you can put too much weight on the end. So shit, I had one guy that he doesn't do it anymore, but he actually sold a big sporting goods company, and he sent me a bat, and he goes, I want you to do a review on it, put it out. Bubba grabbed the bat, first swing, hit a ball about 500 foot. So it was brand new, and the wrapper. So he hit a ball about 500 foot, so I grabbed it from Bubba, and I texted him back, and I said, you could take your bat back. Why, what's wrong with it? I said, come on, man, I know what you're doing here. You know, you're trying to send me to get it out there, the review, because it was the best bat I've ever swung to that date. And then all of a sudden he sends me another, and I get another one, and then I'm hitting it. And again, Bubba hits one about 550. I mean, a long way. Hits into the golf course of almost park when we're hitting. And I'm shaking my head going, and now he calls me after I said, no, I'm not doing this. He calls me up and goes, well, what's wrong? I said, man, your bat's outperforming by 100 feet than any other bat close to it. He goes, well, I really need that review. I said, well, you're not getting it from me. Well, all of a sudden I get a lawyer call me. And the lawyer says, this is such and such with this guy. He's telling me that you're going to put a review out on this bat. I said, no, I'm not. He goes, well, he's selling his company and they need that review. And I'm like, he ain't getting it from me. He might be able to get it from someone else, but he's not going to get it from me. And then all of a sudden, that's the last time. So you're not going to do the review? No, I'm not going to do the review because he's already sent me like 2 or 3 bats already that are way hot. And I said, I'm not going to do it because in good faith, I can't do it. Well, all of a sudden he sold that company to a big, well-known throughout the United States sporting goods company. So yeah, I mean, that's the kind of shit that I get probably every once in a while, probably on a weekly basis. I get a lot of people that'll ask a lot of questions about, you know, other things. What into this weight transfer thing, you know, light hands. They used to not have that back in the day, is light hands, and then the big end weight on the end would get that sledge effect. But I told my wife I can write a book one day and start talking about a bunch of stuff that happens to us, because we've been, hey, I had a guy at Vegas that had his name on a bat and comes up to me and goes, can you do a review on my bat? Yeah, I can do a review on your bat. And he goes, well, can you kind of help me out here? Review on your bat. He takes his bat from me and walks off. So he wanted that buddy attaboy. And this is a guy that actually on a bat. And I'm sitting there going, no, and just the shit that I get from people. You get props. Yeah, you do. You get everything. No, I don't. Get it sent to me way, you know, like, oh shit, I want to buy that. But I bought $150, $800 for these bats. You know, when I got them from him, shit, a couple, 3, right, from Suncoast. I bought all of my stuff for cost. I don't get no price break. Yeah, do I have sent to me every once in a while? If I like the product, I'm not going to wear anything that I don't like. If I like it, I'll wear one of your hats. And I like that bat. I like that bat company. Doesn't turn up my head. Grab them. They like. So much that you kind of want me and Leroy drinking beers, which I don't drink. To do, you know what I mean? So our job is to actually do an honest review on a bat, like, you know, a suggestion, making our opinion, and that's like their bat. Priming. And I had a guy to me personally and entertainment purposes only, because you don't know what you're talking, because his Eastern Empire, he thinks, outperformed every bat out there. And the only thing I can say is, okay, thanks for watching at least, you know, and if you have to just tune into the behind the scene videos to laugh every once in a while, and that's basically what they're for, is behind the scene videos to keep people entertained during COVID. When I put them out during COVID, it actually took off. You know, we're getting a lot of views per day on that behind the scenes because we crack up, we laugh, yeah, we curse, but we're not going to change. And because these are all buddies. They're all buddies that get together. And you know that you around guys, there's nobody around, there's no kids around, there's no wives around, there's no elderly people around, you know, and you do loosen up a little bit and you say shit, you know, throw an F-bomb in there every once in a while. And it's just us talking. It's not scripted. You know, I've seen those guys out there that have that channel where they're scripted, right?
Right.
They're okay, this is why we're going to look so fake. And guys out there that are watching you or watching me are going to see that that's fake. You know, they don't see the true you. And what I like about your stuff is from day one watching you, I knew that was true because you have your own little thing that you do and you're not copying anybody else out there. And I think that's what viewership, the people that view or subscribe to you are actually looking for. They're looking for that honesty. You know, they're looking for that knowledge. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't, is knowledge, because you've been there and done that. I just wish a lot of the other you know, and spread that knowledge about what it takes to get here, dude.
Well, let me tell you something. You share something with you, Dave.
A lot of times I've heard you say that.
Throughout my times and throughout my years, and like I said, I consider myself a B player, and times I had opportunities to play A ball, but I was happy where I was at and with the sponsorship and the people I was. And I thought the AA level was more of just a hitting game, and I was more of an athlete that did both sides. But things that I mean, let me tell you some stories. Some pretty elite NorCal teams. I have a lot of buddies that played A and D, so I'd be out at these tournaments that they'd be there sometimes, and I'd be hanging out with my buddies. And some of these other guys would be like, "Why are you hanging out with the E players and the D players? You should." Or I also noticed, like, anytime someone came, "Hey, I like how you play," or I would share things with people. "What's your name?" And I'd always shake their hands, and I would see other people that were just unapproachable. And it's almost like a weird fraternity. Like, once you get there, you get in that little ring, you stay in that ring. And some people won't go outside it. And I said, I ain't that guy. Never been that guy. And it amazes me. We're playing a game we love. It's underhand. People sponsor for us to do what we love, but people sometimes take it that they're on a different pedestal. You know, I guess better, I guess to say.
Oh, definitely 100% that is happening. You know, I can remember playing a tournament and people would actually look for me to talk to me, you know, "Hey, thanks for what you do." And then my teammates would be mad because, you know, they thought that, you know, I don't understand, why are you over there talking to them? Well, really, none of your business why I'm over there talking to them. They're friends of mine, you know. Or there was that, "Hey, Dave, somebody's here to see you," you know, they do that shit. And I just got tired of it and telling them, "Hey, I would get mad at them and pull them over to the side. I said, don't do that again, because these people that I like, that want to gain knowledge, that want to talk about things." And it could be anything. It could be anything they want to talk about. And if I can help them out, and what I like about you is you have the mind of a teacher. So you want to spread that knowledge to people, and you don't want to be that dick that's over there on the stands that shuns people away and don't want to actually interact with them. So you have the mind of a teacher, and you want to teach these people, you want to talk to these people, because they're starving for knowledge. They're starving for that, you know, how do I do it? How do I get there? Dave, how do I choose a bat? What's the best bat for me? Well, what's your bat speed? So I would actually engage with them more now than I have in the past. What bat? Okay, what's your bat swing? 50 miles an hour. Okay, you need a softer barrel bat, and you need to do this and do that. Go lighter, more of a sledge effect. You can get a little more distance, a little pop through the infield. But I see you doing that too. When you're talking on your podcast, you're actually spreading knowledge on how to get there, how to achieve it. You know, infield, outfield, how to position players. I watched your games where you're telling guys how to go, because in your mind, you already know what the guy went last time because you remember it, right? So I see all that shit. Not too many guys are out there to help the, hey, went over here, let's kind of pull this way a little bit. Not too many guys out there to do that because they just out there to do one thing, and that's to hit and clear that all tournament at the end of the game. So yeah, I mean, I like what you do. I like what you bring to the table. And I think what you have in the next few years, and it might be